Welcome to the Indie Music Room, a conversation with independent artists about writing, recording, performing, and promoting their original music. And now here's your host, Heather Kelly.
Hey everybody, you're listening to Heather Kelly with the Indie Music Room, and I'm excited to introduce our next guest for the month of July. His name is Neil Anders. Hi Neil, how are you doing today?
Hi, how's it going, Heather?
Fantastic. I'm excited
to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to know you. I've heard your name a lot around the past couple of years. You've been playing a lot, and I just was excited to get to know you and let the people know who you are and what you're all about. So let's give them an introduction. Tell us who you are, Neil.
Well, thank you. Like you said, I grew up in Lake City, and I've been teaching in Oldebolt for the past better part of a decade. And just in the last few years, I've been playing a lot in Fort Dodge. So it's just been a great experience to get to know all the musicians and the business owners and just, all the venues that are in Fort Dodge,
Right.
So it's been fun.
Sounds like you do get quite a draw at Shiny Top.
Yeah, no, it's like I've had great experiences with pretty much everywhere I've played there. So
yeah, river hops everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't thank, just everyone enough for coming out and supporting live music. It's just they just have it. Some towns have that and some towns don't. And it's
right.
Pretty obvious Fort Dodge has a great music scene, not only with, a plethora of artists, but, fans that come watch too.
Very supportive community. Yeah.
Yep, that's awesome. Yep.
So tell me a little bit, when did you get into music? When did you start playing? I mean, I know that you kind of debuted your first album in 2018, but tell me your experience.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's probably around the time that I got, somewhat serious about it. But, music's always been a huge part of my life. Growing up, my parents, they had a record player. I remember my favorite record was Doc Watson, Essential Doc Watson. And so I kind of grew up on that flat picking style and grew to really love the acoustic guitar, which was kind of my first, foray into pop music. But, we had a great music program in Lake City. So I grew up playing trumpet and, I had music. I was surrounded by it and I loved it. So
great.
And then later on, I played in cover bands and, just the type of stuff that a 19, 20-year-old would like to do, playing bars and cover bands and stuff like that and just having a good time. But like I said, it wasn't until around 2016 where I started actually being serious about, recording my own music and stuff. And one of my majors in college was studio production and technology. So I had been kind of cutting my teeth a little bit, through my college years, like just kind of getting a good foundation under my feet of how to record and how to make it sound decent and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Well, with that said, when you do record tracks, do you basically record yourself or do you go to studios or how do you go about recording your tracks?
So the first album, I did all myself just here at my house here in Oldebolt. Like I said, I kind of had a pretty good foundation from college to kind of purchase the components and the equipment I needed to, produce my own music and stuff like that. So the first album, I did all the parts myself. So it's basically just me sitting alone in a room playing, pressing record, just playing one instrument at a time. And then just putting it all together and mixing it.
That's pretty incredible that you can play multi-instruments and create that sound yourself.
Yeah, well, I studied at BV at Buena Vista University, and one of the classes that we had to take was, woodwinds and brass, and so you'll hear some horns on my tunes, and that's kind of where I get that a little bit, is just being able to to play some of those. All the instruments, but like I said, I've just always grown up around music. So I kind of, if you play guitar, you kind of have an idea about bass, and I'm no drummer by any means, but I did my best on the first record, but segue into the new album. It's been, I'm so fortunate to have the Merritt brothers and those guys help me record this new album. So, you're going to hear an actual drummer instead of a guy faking drums, on the new album. So
Speaking of the Merritt brothers, I know the name Jake Merritt, and what's his brother's name?
Greg Merritt. Yep.
Right. Okay, Jake and Greg. And when did you start bringing them in on your tracks?
Well, our history goes back. Oh,
That's all right.
getting a call here. Our history goes back quite a ways because, we played in the Jake Clyde band together. And actually, even before that, Jake went to school at BV. And so, I think he's like maybe 2 years younger than me. And so, my last year there, Jake was there. So I kind of knew him from that. And then Jake was kind of my, we played in the BVU bands together. And then he was kind of my bridge sort of into, the Manson group, which was like Jay Clyde, Corey Waller, Greg Merritt, Ron Lee King, all those guys. So that's kind of how I got hooked up with the Jay Clyde band. So, and then of course the Jay Clyde band, has been active for, we were, of course we're not playing anymore, but we played for a good 5-6 years.
Right.
I took like a year or two hiatus in there, but a lot of years playing with those guys. So it just worked well after the Jay Clyde band kind of went separate ways. They came with me and help me with this new album, and we're actually playing shows together now. So
that's great. Tell me about some of your shows, past shows, any funny stories, or what's your best show you can remember?
I was just telling this story. I don't know if it's appropriate, but
anything's fine. You're good.
But I think we were it was just this past. I played a show with Brad Morgan and Jefferson just Friday, and for the Bell Tower days, and it was end of the night. You're kind of rolling up cables and stuff, and usually that's when fights break out, So I got reminded of that, and I was like, the funniest fight I ever witnessed was we were playing in Mobile, and this was with a 100 Proof band. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but this was years ago. And a guy got tipped over in a porta potty.
Oh God.
This guy went in. This girl and another guy pushed this porta potty over, and boy, he came out swinging. And I was just sitting. I was just wrapping
rolling your cords,
watching all this go down. So that was a pretty fun,
That is funny
story anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about your writing process a little bit. I mean, I know you're starting to really hone in on your writing skills. What is your process when you write? Do you write on instruments first, or do you write lyrics first? How do you come about with your songs?
A lot of times, every once in a while, I have a lyric idea. Mm-hmm. But usually how songs come to me is, just through hard work, because a lot of times what happens is I can write music easier than I can lyrics, which is probably the case for most people. So the music part comes pretty early, pretty quickly to me. I'll be, I can usually come up with something that piques my interest, and then I can work with it and hone it down into something that I think's presentable. Right. But then the lyrics come a little bit later. And the other thing is I like to have the music somewhat set, because I want to hear a meter. I want to hear some sort of a melody. I want to hear, all those things before, because I think they really do help some of the lyrics. And then even when I'm coming up with, I'll maybe record the chord progression and stuff like that. And then I'll go in with my voice and I'll just sing gibberish, you know what, this syllable sounds good here. That syllable sounds good there. Very rarely will I have the lyrics completely set. And then, I feel like it's kind of boring sometimes if I know exactly what the song's about before I even start writing it.
Okay. You just kind of let it flow as it comes, right?
Yeah. And I feel like if you know exactly what the song is, that kind of defeats some of the purpose of making the art, you know what I mean? If you just got the end goal in mind, So for me, it's a little more, what's this song about? And then like, I just kind of keep working at it. And then eventually I'm like, oh, it's about, me going to play gigs and like not being home with my family or something.
Right. Myself being a musician, I've written songs and then even got to the point where I was rewriting lyrics as we were getting ready to cut vocals. So the last minute, you make changes until it's set in stone.
Yeah, no, and I've definitely heard stories where, songs just kind of pour out of people. And I've definitely had that like maybe once or twice, but honestly, all the songs that I've written are, it takes me a lot of work to figure out, number one, what I'm trying to say, and then write it to be heard how I want it to be heard. It's right. Like kind of a puzzle that I'm putting together. Yeah. So
you mentioned your family. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your family?
Yeah. So, Alec and I have a 2-year-old daughter. Well, she'll be 2 in August. Nice. And it's like been the greatest thing. Like, honestly, like, I love being a dad, and, it's already going like it's scary how fast it's going, like already, like how fast they grow up and stuff. But I love it. And obviously, like if you go out and you play shows like any other musician, it's like a lot of nights, it's a lot of weekends. Even when I'm home, it's like, babe, I got to go into the studio, and I can be in there for like hours at a time and like not really know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's, I love being home. I love being with my family, and like, it's been like an interesting like dynamic to try to balance those, you know what I mean? To balance those twos.
Well, you must have a great support from your wife, if when you are home, you're tucked away in your studio, she must support.
Oh no, she's like, she's the best. She's a huge music lover. And I think what I love about her most is like, she'll tell me if something sucks, she'll be like,
that's somebody who has your back. I love you, but that sucks. Yeah.
Like we'll listen to it, like be like, hey, what do you think of this? And she'll be like, your voice sounds like shit,
Yeah. Like, try it again. Do it again. Right. Hey, while we're talking here, I just want to mention the first song we're going to drop in here in our podcast today. Tell me a little bit about Fruitdrop and what that song entails, how, what inspired you to write it and what the process was.
So that's actually a good segue into what we were just talking about, because, like I said, it's kind of an interesting, I think every musician has, it's like in nature, kind of a selfish business, being a musician, and just all the time that you have to take writing, producing, and being on the road, playing shows, nights and weekends away. So I guess this was my song to just realize, to realize the people that I had in my life that were making it possible for me to do that, so, and, the chorus is like, will you wait for me and tell me what you see? Because, I'm kind of chasing this dream or whatever. And so, that's sort of what the song's about a little bit loosely. I kind of like to think people can think of whatever they'd like, about the lyrics, but try not to say too much what it means for me. But yeah.
Well, then they can come to their own conclusion what it means to them too. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And this one, did you come up with the music parts first before lyrics? Is that how it went?
Trying to think. Yeah, I think the music came first. And actually this is one of the songs that when I first restarted recording it, I did the drums, and I was kind of doing like more of a real poppy snare with like, I was using brushes, but I was using a poppy snare and just kind of some cymbal work. And Jake Merritt, when he came over to drum it, he kind of started doing that, and then it kind of morphed into this thing where he kind of did some like a more intimate like brush sound, which I was like, oh my God, like I loved that. And so the song kind of took on like maybe a slightly different feel than when it started. And like, that's, if you make music and songs kind of morph into different things, that's like the fun part, so so when you're listening to the recording, you'll hear brushes, and Greg Merritt played bass on this, and he did an awesome job. He did this like harmonic thing.
Nice.
That just added, but speaking of that, the Merritt brothers, and I also had Jay Schneider out of Des Moines play on this. He played his Rhodes on this.
Great.
And it really kicked it up a notch. So I can't thank those guys enough, but yeah.
All right. With that said, everybody, let's listen to Fruitdrop with Neil Anders. Fruitdrop by Neil Anders. Neil, what a great song. It's got a great vibe. I love your voice. You've got a really nice voice.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of unique. I like it.
It's probably the instrument that has taken me the most time to reel in, kind of hone and reel in.
Hone your craft. Yep. I know it's hard.
I'm by no means a natural at it. So it's been something that's been a
work in progress.
Yeah, work in progress. Thank you. That's what I was.
Exactly. I started in 2006 and I still record to this date. So it's funny when I go back and listen to those recordings from the beginning, I sound so young, like so inexperienced and young. And, you learn so much as you do it. So.
Yeah.
There's another song that we're going to talk about. And this one's called Crooked Homes. What's the story with that one?
So, Cricket Homes was just kind of it's kind of the fun song off the record, you know, just something that's kind of loose, and hopefully I kind of saw as like some sort of a summer song or something people could just play and, you know, just have a drink and chill too.
Yeah.
But I did horns on that, and I think Greg and Jake came over and they did just like an array of auxiliary percussion. We just had such a fun time like making that song.
Sure.
And I remember Jake came over too and drummed on it. That was one of the songs that we actually used the drum room in my basement on, and he just nailed the drum part. So it's kind of got like a, you know, Latin jazz type feel, but it's also like some surfer vibe, you know, surfer guitars and different things like that. So like it kind of,
it's eclectic. I like it.
yeah, exactly. And like I wouldn't necessarily say it's a an accurate representation of like the rest of the album, but it's just kind of one of those you know,
it's like an added bonus track, something totally different and fun. Yeah.
Yep. So just kind of not necessarily corny. I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for is, but yeah. But as far as the words are just kind of like, you know, meeting someone new and not sure if it's going to go anywhere, but you still can't help but like be excited about it and whatnot. So
that's what we all strive to feel, is that new excitement. So with that said, Neil, let's go ahead and listen to Crooked Homes.
Sure.
All right, here we go. Private Homes by Neil Anders. Neil, I think you nailed your description of that song perfectly. It is a fun song, especially being 100 degrees today. It feels like that summer vibe song you want to listen to.
Yeah. Some of the surfer guitars and different things like that. Yep, absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about, we've got another song we're going to share with everyone today, but before we get to that, why don't we talk about your upcoming schedules? What do you have on the calendar?
Well, I'm not sure when this is going to come out. This is, kind of mid-June. So next week we've got a few shows with my band. So by the time this comes out, maybe you were there with us. In that case, awesome. But
yeah,
we play Rockwell City for their square. I think we play in the gazebo. It's like their little concert series that they're doing.
I've been to some of those. That's a great venue.
Yeah, they're getting some like really cool people there. So I hope people pay attention to that. And if they didn't catch us, definitely go out and see some of the other awesome bands that are playing there. And then Saturday, would that be the 20th? Is Saturday?
Yeah.
We're playing at River Hops.
Okay, another great venue in Fort Dodge.
Yeah, that will be a super fun show. Always a good time to play at Ron's place. Love Ron. And then after that, it's just I play in Central Iowa a few times solo. I think I'm planning an Eastern Iowa tour, just like a little weekend tour. Hopefully, like the first weekend in August.
Mm-hmm.
And then apart from that, I play a lot with Brad Morgan.
Okay.
So yeah, he grew up in Manning, but he's been in Nashville for I think the better part of a decade now, like maybe 6 7 years. Yeah. And so he comes up in the summers and kind of tours around Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been, he plays a ton of great shows. He's got a phenomenal voice, and a lot of the venues that we get to play with him are just awesome. So I have a great time playing with him.
Great.
And so that's a ton of shows with him, and then some solo shows peppered in, and then the full band shows with me. Yep.
I like the fact that you've really diversified who you've played with, because that only expands your experience and your knowledge of different types of music. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So like just last week I was talking with Steve Shetler at KBOE, I believe is the lettering there, but down in Oskaloosa, and he's got like a country station, and it's just kind of really threw me a loop that like, okay, so I did a country radio station last week, and then now I'm talking to like an indie podcast, so it's like, growing up, I played a lot with like Brad Morgan or Brad Addison, Big Daddy Brad Addison. If you know him, But,
I do know Brad very well.
So I cut my teeth with Brad, and Brad showed me a lot of licks when I first got going. And of course, Brad played country with his dad. He played a lot of like Western country music, but then he grew up in the 80s. So he played like 80s rock. And so I learned a lot of country licks from Brad. And then like, just through the years, I played with Jay Clyde and opposite Ron Lee King, who is the, he is the master, probably like the best country guitarist, I would wager in all of Iowa.
Yeah.
And so like, like the country vibe has just kind of creeped into my music a little bit. So, and I've always been a huge fan of, the old country guys like John Prine and people like that, like John Prine is a hero of mine. So to be able to play some folkier type songs on my record, but then at the same time turn around and play like kind of an indie rocker tune, like that's definitely who I am, and kind of a vibe I like to put out there. So
great.
What was the question?
Well,
I kind of went out on tangent there.
You know what? It was all good info. So it doesn't even matter what it was. It was good info.
Sure.
With that said, I do want to talk real quickly about the last song called I Know.
Yes.
Tell me about that one.
Well, I Know was just kind of a fun song. I've been wanting to make kind of just like a hard hitting poppy type tune that was just like fun to listen to. Uh-huh. So that's kind of how the music got started. And then, as as the music progressed, like I said, just like how my process works, I kind of then went into, what's the song about, and I was coming up with lyrics, and it just kind of gave me a vibe of having playing in a band, and like with the second verse is like 9 to 1, then the loading out and change, and
Oh yeah.
just being young, and we used to have fires out at our acreage growing up, like where my parents, where I grew up in Lake City, and
Sure.
one of the lines kind of like goes to that, and I think it's just about the past and how, like, growing up, you kind of have to let go of some things, but it's still there with you in a sense, you know what I mean? So the first lyric of the song is, "Our yesterdays have never found us far from home."
Oh, that's a beautiful line.
And I think that's probably the song in a nutshell. Is it's a little homage to all the people and places that you've met, places that you've been, and how they've had a big impact on you. And then the chorus is kind of like, I know it's gone, but I still feel it there. So
cool.
That's I Know.
Very cool. Let's go ahead and take a listen to I Know again by Neil Anders. Here we go.
Are gone. What if this still been hard? I still remember that sound. Still it's your heart stone. I know it's gone, but I feel it there. I know they're gone, I feel them there. I know it's there. I change, passing time, lost and strange. Yeah, we were laying it down. Still it's your heart of stone. I know it's gone, but I feel it there. I know they're gone, but I feel it there.
That was I Know, Neil Anders, a third great song choice for this podcast today. Wonderfully done. Good job.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to wrap up the show here in a few minutes, but why don't you tell everybody how they can find you on the internet and your music and how to follow your music schedule and all that?
Sure. Well, right now I'm pretty set with Facebook. I know that I should probably get a website get going here too, and but usually I post all the places that I'm going to be playing on Facebook. I'll usually post a month by month little schedule there, but I also make events too and stuff like that. So you can definitely check that out.
Okay.
Neil Anders Music on Instagram and YouTube. All the videos that I come out with, I like to get on YouTube as well. So if you're a YouTube person, you could definitely check them out there.
Yeah, there's a couple that you sent me that I am going to include on on the podcast, the links on that, because those are great videos. I think people should see them. They'll fall in love with you because you are very entertaining.
Oh yeah, we had a ton of fun making those videos. So the night before we played the King Theater, and then the next day we did those videos, and I can't thank Ryan Knorr enough, because he's the videographer that put those together, and he did like a fantastic job, and I mixed the audio, and they just turned out great. So yeah, if you haven't seen the videos yet, you should definitely. One of the songs we do is off the old album, and one of them's off the new upcoming album. So.
Well, speaking of that, we never mentioned the name of the new upcoming album, and that is called Miles from Nowhere. So are people going to be able to download this? Do you have physical copies eventually? Are you doing the Spotify, or DistroKid, or what is your platform? Yeah,
so I'll probably publish it through CD Baby, and they do a pretty good job of pushing it to a lot of different places. So
right,
of course I'll be on Apple Music and Spotify and like all the usual spots, and I think they do push it to a lot of other places if you're one of those people that likes to stay off the the beaten path.
Many platforms. Yeah, there's tons of platforms that CD Baby offers, as well as like DistroKid, and you can submit your stuff now, and it's all over the internet. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll like I was telling you before we started this that it's the songs are sitting at the mastering house right now, and I'm just doing a couple revisions, and then we should have it here within the next few weeks. We should be able to start pushing some singles out, and then hopefully by July we'll have the whole record out. So
well, this is working perfectly with our timing, because you're going to be on the entire month of July for our Artist of the Month. So we'll be pushing your new album, Miles from Nowhere, and we're going to share all the links so people can find your first album as well. What was the title of that album, 2018?
All In.
All In. Okay. So we'll be looking, to check that out as well. Any last words today?
I'm excited to get this new album out. I can't thank Jake Merritt and Greg Merritt and Jay Schneider, because, without them guys, they played some killer parts on this new record, and I'm just really excited to get it out and showcase with those guys. The record is kind of eclectic, just like the music. There's a lot of topics, fatherhood, and of course I wrote this during the time of the pandemic and the riots and all that stuff, so there's some of that. I don't get political at all, but you definitely find some reflections of some of those things going on. I'm really proud about it and excited to get it out. So hopefully later this summer you guys can look forward and follow my page and stuff like that, and you can stay up to date on all that stuff. So
perfect. Well, I tell you what, it's been my privilege having you on the Indie Music Room. I want to wish everybody, all of our fans, a happy 4th of July for the month of July. And also congratulations on the new album release. I think the world is waiting to hear it.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough, Heather, for having me on here. It's been a great time talking with you, and thanks for getting me out. And
absolutely, it's my pleasure. So I do want to say, in the future, if you come up with another album in a year or two, look me up. We'll do this again, and we'll share your music with everybody.
Awesome.
At that point, we'll be following you, because you will have a huge following. So this will be great. Neil, thank you so much. Everybody, you take care, and we will talk to you next month. This is Heather Kelly signing out. Take care.
You've been listening to the Indie Music Room with Heather Kelly. Be sure to listen every Saturday and Sunday right here on FortDodgeRadio.com and subscribe for all our past and upcoming shows. The Indie Music Room is a production of FortDodgeRadio.com.